Hey guys, Poro here with another Worlds 2025 recap, this time for the first match in the knockout stage, the quarterfinals match between Gen G and HLE. We saw these two teams duke it out in LCK Grand Finals, and there's a chance this could be a battle between the two best teams at the tournament. Gen G won pretty convincingly in that final, but with the ceilings the players on HLE have, you never know what could happen. I predicted Gen G 3-1 since it seemed like Gen G ramped up over Swiss whereas HLE declined a bit, but I would love to see HLE's run continue and I'll personally be cheering for them. Let's get right into it and see what happened in the series. In Game 1, HLE came out with a super interesting draft. Pantheon W can instantly proc Sejuani stun, which means the jungle support can run around getting kills early, and the Pantheon Talia ultimate combo can get fights started later on. They also blinded Rek'Sai, which meant Gen G couldn't take Sion, so it's clear they planned this out. In the game, their draft was able to show its strengths as Delight and Peanut were able to find a kill on Keen to get the ball rolling, and then Delight and Zeka were able to pull off a top dive to kill Nico. With this lead, HLE would take the first few objectives and have a fairly comfortable early game. However, they would stop making plays for the next 5 minutes, and they showed up to Herald with an even game state. At this Herald, Delight would go for a flash stun onto Wukong, but either the stun was too early or the Sejuani ult was too late, and Canyon was able to flash out. Gen G, now having the ult advantage, felt comfortable to take the Herald, but for some reason HLE stuck around to posture for it and they ended up getting 3-0'd on the turn.
He didn't want to use the flashes, now Canyon could be in a bit of trouble. Viper flashes away, but it's Zeka that's in trouble. Keen gets his revenge as he takes down two. This Aatrox just bursts to life.
Feeling a bit desperate to make some action happen, HLE decided to commit to a full cross map and dive Keen 1v5 while dropping top and mid, and they trade basically dead even in gold when the dust settles. Ruler oversteps on midwave though and is flanked by Pantheon and Rek'Sai to give HLE yet another kill, and now things are looking playable for them again. Chovy would make a pretty big screw up in the next play as HLE tried to pick him out on side and failed, only for the Ryze to take a greedy backstep trying to output more damage, and he gets ticked by the Sejuani ultimate slow and is promptly killed. HLE would turn this into a free Otacon. Drake Fight 3 was incredibly close, and there were opportunities for HLE to win it, but they would mis-execute the fight. Zeus had a nice flank onto a no-flash Ryze, but everyone on HLE would try to commit onto the knockup, delivering Duro a massive 4-man Nico ultimate that would allow Gen G to get a 4-for-2 and reclaim the gold lead. Notably though, they did not get the dragon, which means HLE has dragon pressure. A little skirmish happens in jungle after this, which includes Gen G burning 3 ultimates and getting no kills, and HLE decides this is enough and they start Baron for a 50-50. Peanut would actually win this 50-50 smite, and HLE would trade 2 kills for the Baron buff right before 4th Drake spawned. The 4th dragon fight was actually an HLE win, as they finally executed their combo properly and took Aatrox out of the fight before it even began. With Gen G taking the dragon though, there's no soul point advantage for either side, so even with the additional kills, the game state hasn't really been progressed. Less than 2 minutes after, with no objectives up, HLE go for another fight as they think they have a catch on Duro, but then Nico manages to land a 4-man ultimate before going down, which gives Keen and Ruler enough space to work with to turn the teamfight into a 3-for-3. Notably, this is like the 3rd or 4th massive ultimate Duro has landed this game. Regardless of whether it's bad HLE positioning or not, Duro is absolutely keeping Gen G alive in these teamfights. After multiple tense teamfights, the final teamfight of the game ends in pretty underwhelming fashion. HLE start the Baron, Canyon runs to the Blast Cone to try and maybe look for a 50-50 or a big ultimate, Sejuani and Rek'Sai go over the wall to try and kill Canyon, and then Canyon auto-attacks the Blast Cone to get away while simultaneously knocking the Rek'Sai back into the entirety of Gen G, netting them a free kill for no resources used, and thus a free teamfight win. I think HLE came out in this game 1 looking a bit nervous. Their draft plan was pretty solid, but they were fairly passive when they had the lead, which led to Gen G getting multiple chances to come back into the game. With these chances, Gen G continuously out-teamfought HLE, and it looked like the players on Gen G were overall much more confident and locked in. We might have a sweep on our hands. Despite the game looking close, I thought HLE was kind of underwhelming. Game 2 is most likely going to be the longest game we have at this tournament by a significant margin. If you couldn't tell from the scores, I have a very clear opinion of what I think went down in this one. I personally like HLE's draft way more, and they should have been able to win this game pretty easily in my eyes. Gwen got a pretty sizable laning nerf against AD champions, and the Ambessa matchup went from even to winning for Ambessa. So Zeus, the best Ambessa player in the world, should definitely do well this game, right?
True. You know, that's why they're there.
It feels like a beautiful culmination of what has been.
Keen's running with scissors, and Zeus needs to get the heck out of the way. Snip, snip. One more would have done it. But he holds position, Flash is not traded, as Keen knew that he couldn't confirm the kill. Didn't want to make himself too vulnerable, but Zeus, he's not going to be able to get back to this wave, like, ever. He does decide to do so, as now Keen could be the one in trouble.
Basically this entire game, Zeus was getting curb stomped by Keen. I haven't seen an outclassing like this in a while. Part of it was Zeus just making bad laning decisions, but another part of it was Keen being great. But for real, Zeus was doing some crazy stuff this game. There's no reason why he should ever die here, but he's going back in to greet for kills or something? Unsure. Here's another clip of Zeus getting styled on. It was an extremely rough game for him. A reminder that M-Pesa should bare minimum go even here, and should probably be winning. Zeus wasn't the only person having a stinky early and mid game, as Delight was right there with him. Delight was playing a lot of the situations like he was unkillable, and most of the time he would just miss ult and get one shot. HLE won a fight on 3rd Drake, but Delight kinda ran it down anyway. Here he is again posturing way too far up and getting one shot in front of Otacon. This actually lost them the entire objective too. With Genji on sole point, every Drake from here on out was do or die for HLE. At Drake 4, it was Peanut to find the game-saving play as he stacked up Q on wards and found a flash knockup on Chovy, which HLE would turn into a nice fight win and their first Drake secure. Neither team knew it at this point, but this would be the 4th of 8 Drakes killed in this one. We're going to skip some stuff here and there because this game is so long, but I'll still show the highlights. Here's a great play by Keen. Gen.G go for a global blue buff invade and HLE stands up to fight back, but Keen finds a good moment to go in on Delight, who is inting yet again, and then he completely spaces out both damage threats in the backline as Gen.G easily convert it into a fight win and their first Baron. There are 4 Barons taken this game, by the way. We've addressed why Delight and Zeus sucked in this one so far, now it's time to talk about the 3rd horrible rating here. Zeka past the 25-minute mark was pretty god-awful. In most of the fights he was completely invisible. I can think of at least 3 times where if he flashed a key spell, HLE win the fight hard, but Zeka was simply allergic to pressing his flash key and he ended up getting one shot way too many times. Peanut would steal the 2nd Drake as HLE lost the fight and the game extends yet again. Zeus and Zeka both run it down in the 6th Drake fight. If either one of them played it well, then HLE could even potentially prepare to end the game with Baron, but both of them played about as bad as possible and HLE end up in a scrap fest where Peanut has to win yet another 50-50 smite to keep them in the game. On 2nd Baron, Delight and Zeus play basically their one good fight this game, as Delight ejects Canyon out of the pit, and Zeus finds a nice ult and some good sidesteps to get Chovy out of the fight as well. HLE kill 2 people and take Baron. HLE now have a pretty sizable lead at this point, and they easily win the 7th Drake fight and take Soul. The game is over here, they are literally ending the game. Then, Zeus and Delight, who are both having excellent games by the way, walk next to each other right in front of Orianna and get hit with a dry shockwave to extend the game even further. It's cool by Chovy or whatever, but like, he didn't even have to flash to get this. Zeus and Delight gladly just walked into it and died. HLE should absolutely win the game here. Viper murders both turrets in less than 5 seconds guaranteed. HLE would finally win the game on the 3rd Baron though. Gen.G are getting corralled and manhandled in the pit, and Zeka finds the game-winning engage as he ults Ruler into the entire team, and wait, never mind, Peanut ulted Ruler back out, which completely saves the game for Gen.G and results in a 3-for-2 fight win for them. This almost reminds me of the 100 Thieves vs T1 game, where they literally won the game multiple times until they didn't. Gen.G get the Baron off of this. Delight fucks another game-winning engage on a mid push by the way, but I won't even show it because who even cares at this point. Elder Fight is here, and guess what? Start of the fight looks great for HLE, but Zeka, with flash up, gets dry hooked by Nautilus and gets one shot as HLE lose the fight. Only reason why I bothered to give a Zeka a 3 at all is because technically he did find the game-winning play, and Peanut inted it away in the silliest way possible, so despite Zeka throwing a bunch later, I do credit him for a theoretical game win. Gen.G have both Baron and Elder now, but HLE managed to extend the game even further by going for a clever trap play where they overstay on the map and 4v1 Keen as he's walking out of base, while Viper clears the wave in base. We are now 57 minutes into the game, Dragon number 9 has spawned, both teams have over 100k gold, and we're about to go for the final fight of the game. The fight starts with Peanut absorbing an engage and Canyon going too far forward to finish the kill, so we'll say both junglers played it kinda mediocre and move on. Fight looks insanely good for HLE by the way. Full build Azir is positioned safely near his turret and can free hit and has flash up, which means he's perfectly safe and oh never mind, he gets caught by Nautilus again and the game is over. This entire time, Viper is playing about as well as humanly possible. I didn't mention Viper until the end because I wanted to paint a picture of what the rest of his team was doing in this one. They were all running it down and committing game-losing plays left and right, so it begs the question of why HLE were able to get 2 opportunities to win and extend the game for an hour in the first place, and the answer was Viper's Ziggs. He was going crazy from start to finish, and it's a shame a performance like this couldn't net a win. The entire game was just if Viper dies once, Gen.G win. Viper didn't die until the 59-minute mark as the Nexus was in the process of exploding. Well, this one is a real mental killer for HLE. They had this one in the bag and choked it multiple times, and everyone except for Viper should feel responsible for losing this one. I have to give credit to Gen.G though, as everyone on the team showed a lot of tenacity by being able to win with this huge of a draft gap. Keen carried the entire first half of the game, Chovy and Ruler carried the second half. Duro had a few good plays and a few bad ones, and Canyon did alright I guess. HLE are now down 0-2, and I see no way for them to win the series after a heartbreaking loss like this. Game 3 was a bit of a punchback from HLE. To be very clear, I did not think HLE played that well or anything. Genji's comp just does very low damage early, and this game was over pretty quickly. HLE won a standoff on first Drake, Genji won a standoff on Grubs, and both teams were dead even when Herald spawned. Genji started it, but their items are just so much weaker. Bork Yone and Trinity Force Trundle are going to be way more effective than Blackfire and Heartsteel, and this is exactly what happened. HLE get a clean 4-for-1 fight here, and the game is basically over. Kenyon completely griefs the Herald Crash right in front of Otacon and gets 4 more people on his team killed, and HLE claim every objective. If you thought there was any comeback chance for Gen G, think again, because Chovy went the glorious build of Blackfire, Cosmic Drive, and Horizon Focus to output the smallest amount of damage possible. Viper cooks them on the Soul Drake fight as it's completely unplayable at this point. I really don't think HLE's players played that great. Peanut and Zeka looked pretty uncomfortable at times, and Zeus died on a couple of not good timers. Viper and Delight did their job, but mostly it was everyone on Gen G not showing up in this game. Notably, I actually think HLE had very good drafts in all 3 games. If Gen G keep losing drafts this badly, maybe there's a slim chance HLE can win. That said, we're getting into late Fearless, which has been Gen G's comfort zone all year, so I think they'll surely come up with a better draft at some point, and the instant Gen G get a better draft, I think they take home the series. Game 4 was definitely the biggest stomp in the series as Gen G completely annihilated HLE. We got to see Canyon have a classic pop-off Nidalee performance, and the rest of the top side had full control of every teamfight. You can't even necessarily say HLE played that badly or anything. They certainly tried their best and had a couple of good plays like a kill on Ruler after Zeus overstayed on the map to catch him off guard. All it took was a couple of bad decisions from HLE to seal the deal on this one. The first big error made was Zeus teleported to the bot turret after the kill on Ruler without basing first, as he was stuck in lane with no items and no mana. This gave Cassante a pretty big advantage, and this is problematic because it delays how long it takes until Camille can start winning on side lane. This decision was a large reason as to why Gen G had full control over the map and all of the early objectives. With the game bleeding away, HLE would make their second mistake of the game by trying to send on Herald. Gen G had full setup and were on better item power spikes, but HLE went anyway and lost the fight pretty hard. Basically, the way it goes from this point with these champions is that as long as Gen G don't make any crucial mistakes, they'll win the game, and that's exactly what happened. HLE tried a few things here and there, but could never get anything going. Their last chance would come as they thought they had a pick on Chovy next to Otacon, but he disengaged it pretty well and Gen G turned it into a 5-for-1 ace. With this, there was nothing left for HLE to do except for wait for their inevitable end. I think Keen, Canyon, and Chovy all played very impressive games in this one, and Duro had a couple of really nice teamfights as well. For the most part, Ruler just had to get in the backpack for this one, and I don't think his decisions made any meaningful impact on the game win. With this, that'll do it for HLE's run in this tournament. I truly think there's a solid chance HLE are the second or third best team at this tournament, and it's sad to see them go out in quarterfinals, but it is what it is with this format. Viper had a solid tournament, and I think Peanut played well relative to his standards, but everyone else on the team needs to reflect on their tournament. Zeka was pretty invisible in a lot of the games, and Zeus and Delight had their fair share of ugly games. I think HLE could run this series back another 9 times and maybe win it once. Gen G look fine, I would say. Not at their domestic level, of course, but they look strong enough to be the best team at the tournament for sure. I think everyone played pretty well today in their 3 wins, which is actually surprisingly not as common of a feat as one would think. I would be pretty surprised if this win doesn't mean Gen G gets an easy ticket to Grand Finals. Tomorrow we have another series, and it'll be KT versus CFO. For my prediction, I've actually got CFO 3-1. I think this was the best draw they could have possibly gotten. KT may have gone undefeated in Swiss stage, but their draw was incredibly easy, and I don't think anyone on their team was overperforming in any of their games. KT looked exactly how I expected them to look. As for the matchup, I think CFO have plenty of advantages to work with for this one. I actually think GrivR can outperform Perfect, and Doggo and Kaiwing have certainly looked more impressive than Dom and Peter. BDD and Cuz are probably going to look better than Junja and Hongqiu, but it's not like those players are weak enough to be viewed as vulnerabilities. I think they'll hold up fine. One of the main things that hold CFO back are their champion pool issues in late Fearless, but I don't see KT as a team who is well equipped to punish them for it. Kaiwing can only play a select few champs, but Peter actually shares the same pool for the most part and isn't any more flexible, so it's just a weakness for both teams that cancel each other out. Perfect is certainly more versatile, but I don't think he has the raw skill to beat GrivR either way, and Rest has played decently this tournament too. I still have my doubts if CFO can win if the series goes to 5 though, as at this point I still think KT will have way more options in basically every role, but the question is if I think KT can get to 5 games to begin with, and I'm going to bet on no. I've got CFO winning in 4, but if KT managed to pick up 2 games at any point, I'd be pretty scared about CFO's chances. That's all I have for you for this one. I recently started a Patreon for people who want to support me more while I'm making these videos. I have 3 tiers, each with varying amounts of benefits, including different types of behind-the-scenes content, and even a custom Poro drawing that I'll display in video outros. If that interests you, check out the Patreon link in the description. I'll see you all for the next one. Bye!